Discovery, go at throttle up.
retreat. Failures never taste the sweet. Science lessons learned in flight. Journey on to endless night. For the stars, we aim so high. The poor jet did kiss goodbye. For science and purple light, we'll keep flying through the light. Rocket launch with hope so grand. EJ's got the master plan. Thrusters burn to reach the moon. In his eye you see the tune. Orbit dreams won't be delayed. Lessons learned from missions made. Kerbal Time will forge a path to the stars beyond this path. For the stars, we aim so high. The poor jet did kiss goodbye. For science and purple light, we'll keep flying through the light. Rocket launch with hope so grand. EJ's got the master plan. Thrusters burn to reach the moon. In his eye you see the tune. Keep flying through the light.
Okay, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Space and Rocket Review. It is February 13th, 2025, and I am EJ, your host, bringing you I was about to say on the daily space news, but it's really only Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then Friday, you got Flame Trench. That's good. Wait, you clicked for Sprocket Review? Oh. Uh, uh, Best I can do is socket review. That's the best I can do. Yeah, best I can do is 10 millimeters sprocket socket review. Hey, you always got to have a spare, okay? Always got to have a spare 10 millimeter, all right? Always. And yes, it is a 10 millimeter. See? Told you. It's a 6 point. 6.10 mil. Yeah, baby. I knew I had something. 10 millimeter is the best millimeter. It is a 10 mil. I always carry a spare, boy. I tell you what. Is that a cleater meter? Yep. Yep. They do be trying to escape. They're trying to leave and yeah. Don't forget 13. I prefer 12.7 millimeter. That is the best. It's not 13. It's 12.7. 12.7 millimeter is the best millimeters, I think. I think I like that more than 10 mil. .7 was discontinued. No, it wasn't. I have one right over there. Your girlfriend likes 12.7 millimeter. Ship 24. Anyway. Okay. Let's Space News it's half inch, yes. Actually it's not half inch, it's 50 cal. Okay. 50 cal. That's why it's the best one. Boom. Yeah, see, winter coats, you know exactly where I was going with that. All right, excellent. Cool. Bullets. All right, so 12.7 a conversion from standard measurement. It's 1/2 inch, yes. The not fun stuff. It's already I already have those links, man. You're not gonna look at them. What's the matter with you? Okay, so blue. We heard this when we were playing After Hours last night. That Blue Origin has layoffs. So this morning, Blue Origin had a company-wide meeting where Dave Limp, the CEO, basically, an all-hands meeting. That's what they call it. Called an all-hands meeting to announce that they're laying off 10% of their workforce. We just came to the painful conclusion that we aren't set up for the kind of success that we really wanted to have. Huh. Eric Berger wrote a thing about it too. Citing too much bureaucracy, Blue Origin to cut 10% of its workforce. Let's see. A little less than a month. So this is by Eric Berger over at ours. A little less than a month after the successful debut of its New Glenn rocket, Blue Origin's workforce will be trimmed by 10%. The cuts were announced during an all-hands meeting on Thursday morning, led by the rocket company's chief executive, Dave Limp. During the gathering, Limp cited business strategy as the rationale for making the cuts to a workforce of more than 10,000 people. Blue Origin was founded by Jeff Bezos in 2000, and he continues to provide an estimated $2 billion in funding annually to support its operations. In a follow-up email to employees on Thursday morning under the subject of difficult organizational news, Limp said the decision was the result of the company's planning for 2025 and need for sustainable growth. Blue's primary goal for the coming year is to scale up its manufacturing output and launch cadence of its New Glenn rocket. Limp cited the scramble to complete the development of New Glenn and get the rocket into orbit as a rationale for the cuts. Limp cited the scramble to complete the development of New Glenn and get the rocket into orbit as rationale for the cuts. Okay. We grew and hired incredibly fast in the last few years, and with that growth came more bureaucracy and less focus than we needed. It also became clear that the makeup of our organizations must change to ensure our roles are best aligned with executing these priorities. Making difficult decisions. With the cuts, Blue Origin will seek to trim its management ranks. Of the cuts, Limp said, this resulted in eliminating some positions in engineering, R&D, and program and project management, and thinning out our layers of management overall. He added that these difficult decisions will set Blue on course for success this year and beyond. This year alone, we will land on the moon, deliver a record number of incredible engines, and fly New Glenn and New Shepard on a regular cadence. Even before Thursday's announcement, Blue Origin had been seeking to control costs. According to sources, the company has had a hiring freeze in place for the last 6 months, and in January, it let a majority of its contractors go. The cuts appear to be an effort by Bezos, who hired Limp more than a year ago, to put Blue on a more financially sound footing. Although Bezos could continue to fund Blue Origin indefinitely with the wealth he has acquired from Amazon, he has been pushing programs to become, at worst, revenue neutral. In addition to the New Glenn rocket, Blue Origin is working on development of large uncrewed and crewed lunar landers, a human spacecraft for the rocket, and an orbital reef space station. The impacts to these programs were not immediately clear. There's no way that New Glenn is a profitable launch system. It was designed around Bezos continuing to subsidize the platform, IMO. I have a lot of thoughts, and I'm... yeah. Phil, I think you might be right. This is Dave trying to solve whatever Bob Smith was doing. Yeah. Serious, I shot you a DM on Twitch if you don't mind. Okay. Couple of things, dudes. Don't freak out. Okay. So, when a launch vehicle reaches its maturity, right? Well, you see, when one rocket loves another rocket. No. I can only speculate. You know, corporate speak is deliberately like obtuse, you know. Like it's supposed to be like, okay, that's what you're doing. You're supposed to say a lot without saying a lot, you know what I mean? Okay, good, Cirrus. Cool. Good to know. So, okay. Yeah, there is so I kind of have to give like a little bit of a backup here. If you're wondering why Blue would do this. All right, so Blue Origin was founded in 2000. They did a lot of kind of R&D stuff. And then sometime around the late 2000s, R&D stuff with like VTOL spacecraft and whatnot. And then sometime in the late 2000s, they decided they wanted to build a suborbital rocket. They decided they wanted to make New Shepard, right? Right around that time and into like 2011, 2012, Jeff Bezos hired a ex-space shuttle systems engineer named Bob Smith. And told Bob Smith to spearhead building New Glenn. Okay? So, Bob Smith started working on BE4. They started working on BE4 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. 2013, 2014, maybe in that area, like right around when SpaceX was trying to, do Raptor stuff, and then they were testing New Shepard, et cetera, et cetera. And, they were trying to get New Glenn ready to go. They're trying to get New Glenn ready to go. And then, interestingly enough, in 2017, right, hang on one second. I just want to make sure I'm giving the right information here. I just need to fact check myself real quick. So, when did Bob Smith come in? I don't think Bob Smith came in at the right time. Okay. So Bob Smith came in to spearhead New Glenn. That actually happened in 2016, around 2016, 2017, okay? So and Blue, that's right around when Blue announced New Glenn and announced they wanted to make a competitor to Falcon 9, et cetera, et cetera. So, sorry, I had to go look it up. So, Bob Smith was running this company, and, he came in like 2016, and then into 2017, something went down with B4 development. We don't know what it was, but that delayed New Glenn indefinitely. Yeah, something went down in 2017 that had to do with the BE4, and that delayed Vulcan and also delayed New Glenn, right? So Bob Smith was running this company. He was running this company, right? And he is... From what I can understand, keep in mind this is anecdotal from people that work there, et cetera, et cetera. From what I could surmise from him is that he is very much like a legacy shuttle guy. He worked in the shuttle program, right? And the shuttle program, unfortunately, really put a lot of engineers into the mentality that, if you're not innovating, you're being safe, right? The shuttle flew, like the engines. Oh, the best way to make sure that the engines don't have a problem is to take them apart every time and make sure it doesn't have a problem. We're being safe, right? Instead of figuring out a better design, right? Bob Smith very much came from that, from what I understand. So he was working on New Glenn, but there really wasn't a lot of progress, right? There wasn't a lot of progress. There was obviously problems with the BE4, et cetera, and Blue really ran into a lot of problems scaling, right? And then 2023 comes around, and Jeff Bezos told Bob Smith to get bent. He fired him. Well, he stepped down. Okay, he stepped down. And then Dave Limp, the current guy, got put in. That was in like late 2023, early 2024. And since then, the reason why people are saying like, oh, this is Dave Limp picking up Bob Smith's mess is because that's basically what it is. Bob Smith overhired people. He killed morale at the company. He treated it like the shuttle program, and that's really not what Blue's supposed to be. You know? CLD was also mixed in there. CLD, serious? So like that's the quick story. Like I could do a whole segment on this. Like I'd have to go do some research. It's been a while. Like commercial low Earth orbit destinations was also mixed in there. Yeah. So basically Jeff Bezos canned Bob Smith and then he put Dave Limp in. So who's Dave Limp? Where does he come from? Does he come from aerospace? No, he doesn't come from aerospace. The projects that Dave Limp he's ex-Amazon. The projects that Dave Limp was working on previously are bringing Alexa to market and Amazon Fire Stick before that. So the guy knows how to make a product and ship it. Okay. Yeah. Alexa was, he just kind of oversaw that whole thing. You could say whatever you want about that. That was like almost everyone has one of those in their house. I don't need, you get enough of my data. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, okay, serious. I got you. Cold Knight, as a certified shuttle hater, I love the shuttle concept, but I hate the politics and engineering decisions. Cold Knight, I will say this once, I'll say it again. The shuttle's design is not the problem. The shuttle is probably Rockwell's space shuttle. So space shuttle, external tank, 2 solids. That is probably the best and simplest, yes, you heard that right, simplest way to do what the shuttle program was trying to do. The design is fantastic. I will say this. I will say this till I'm off this planet, and figuratively, hopefully not actually, right? Like, I will say this till I'm blue in the face. The shuttle's design is fantastic. The people running it were imbeciles. There it is. I don't think the engineering decisions were bad at all. I think the engineering decisions were fine. I think the people managing the shuttle program throughout almost its entire tenure were poo-poo. Doo-doo caca poo-poo face. Anyway, so these layoffs with Blue Origin are basically, it's speculated that this is Dave Limp basically cleaning up Bob Smith's mess. Phil, that's a good way to put that. Now, I would like to add another couple of things, okay? In systems engineering, right, when a rocket gets past its first operational mission, generally you see a reduction in workforce. This happened during Apollo. This happened during the shuttle program. It happened during Falcon 9. When Falcon 9 Block 5 came around, SpaceX laid off a bunch of people. They laid off 1,000 people. Same thing happens. Now, SpaceX, I don't think SpaceX's layoffs were as big as Blue's per se, because a lot of SpaceX personnel that were working on Falcon 9 development moved to Starship development, right? Makes sense. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily what's going on here. What did Dave Limp say? We grew incredibly fast in the last few years, and with that growth came more bureaucracy and less focus than we need. It also became clear that the makeup of our organization must change to ensure our roles are best aligned with executing these priorities. So it very much seems like they hired too much middle management, which is textbook shuttle program stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and say that that's probably what this is. This isn't necessarily getting rid of development personnel. Blue is working on all kinds of stuff. It seems like they trimmed upper management, which I can't, am I a piece of crap for saying that I kind of agree with that? Like, The only issue with the shuttle's design was being side-mounted to the stack, which limited abort options. Yeah, Rocketrome, the idea is that if you fly it a lot, you don't have to worry about that, just like a plane doesn't have to worry about abort options taking off. The shuttle was engineered the way that it was because it was engineered like an airplane, not like a spacecraft. And then NASA ended up operating it like a spacecraft, and it ended up being more dangerous that way. So they're in the cut part of bulk and cut, I guess. It sounds like they trimmed a lot of upper management, which... Oh, that sucks. That sucks for them. I don't care. Whatever. So, that does... I mean, okay. Like, I don't want to laugh at people losing their job. That sucks. And I'm sure those people will find other work. The aerospace industry is pretty in demand for that. And having blue on your resume probably isn't the worst thing either. So, yeah, it very much seems like they're reorganizing to kind of get New Glenn to operate profitably. Now, with that being said, I have to ask this question. You know, it doesn't seem like they got rid of any development people, but, you know, does this mean Blue isn't working on a bigger rocket? That's what I'm curious about. Like, this result, so Dave Limp said, this result in eliminating some positions in engineering R&D and project program management and thinning out layers of management. See, engineering R&D and project program management. So that means do you have less programs? Some of the posts on the employee subreddit are quite interesting. Okay, let's see what we got. So once again, if you're just popping in, Blue Origin laid off about 1,000 people this morning. 10% of their workforce. Like, once again, that happens. That does happen. It does happen in the aerospace industry. It does happen in space programs. NASA laid off a bunch of people after the shuttle started flying operationally. They did the same thing with the Saturn V. Yeah, Aqualex, yeah, I know. All right, so the wall of SVPs just staring at you. Remember, it wasn't our fault that these mistakes were made. It was yours. SVP is Senior Vice President. The million different heat shield tiles wasn't the greatest decision either. That said, the shuttle was a highly complicated geometry, so it's hard to build for. If the tiles weren't the greatest decision, why is SpaceX using them? Food for thought, dude. I disagree. I don't think there's any better way to do that. Personal opinion. Oh, they got 100% tired of MBAs and middle managers. All right. I remember the all hands a year ago when they were touting that like 2,000 managers went through a new training, and that was some grand success, and all I could think of was there's one manager for every 4 employees at Blue. Oh. Woof. Woof. 50 VPs at Blue. That's a 100% real number. Guarantee none of them are offboarded today. If Dave Limp thought Ares was top heavy or that growth came with bureaucracy, he needs to just look outside of his office. To have 50 VPs as a logical number, we need to be employing hundreds of thousands of employees. According to the Ford Motor Company media site, Ford has 50 VPs and 171,000 employees. Feels like some of the cuts should have come from Mahogany Row. Yeah, Peter, don't need to talk about that in here, brother. Come on. We got enough bad news on the screen. You don't need to talk about Rule 8 stuff over in the YouTube chat, brother. We're good. I count 45 VPs as of noon. Not sure if this represents a small reduction, but nonetheless, the point was made. Dave Limp brought more VPs and a CFO for each BU. I don't know what that is. Boston University. I believe he brought in talent or human resources senior vice president or something like that right before I left. Business unit? Oh, business unit. I got it. Fire the SVPs, including the NS and the NG. It was giving 2017 YouTube NUA apology video vibe. It's a very bad risk, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. That's a risk you're willing to make for me. I would argue that metallic TPS is better than ceramic tiles. I didn't say it was better. Well, I said it was the best. What I'm trying to say is that if SpaceX was using it, they came to the same convergent design conclusion as the shuttle, that the tiles are the lightest way of getting this done. They're ergo the best way of getting it done. Anyway, you guys are... I'm trying to read this. Hold on. So I don't want... We could get into a discussion, and Lord knows I'd want to prove you all wrong, because you're all wrong about the shuttle program completely. And I would really love to sit here and argue with people on the internet all day, but I want to read the rest of this. Our team in operations lost over 40%. So much for too many managers. We had 12 FTE and 10 contractors. Lost all contractors end of 2024, and now... we have just 7. Dave said we hired too many managers and project managers and need to focus on operations to close our customers. What a lie. What's FTE, fellas? FTE is full-time employee. Okay. I don't speak corpo. Does it show? I haven't worked a corporate job in like 15 years. I have no idea what any of this stuff means. Lost 40% of my group, not counting management. In ops, deleted. What team? Deleted. Congrats, you did your job so well, you're no longer needed. Wow. I found that subreddit full of salt mines just wanting to be salty. Cold Knight, your idea for a thermal protection system is to just coat Starship in inch-thick tungsten and see how many Raptors it takes to get it in the air. Tungsten. A tungsten thermal protection system is your solution. Cold Knight, what you just said was the equivalent of, oh, I can make that car's wheel better. You know how I can make it better? By making them squares. Square wheels. That's my solution. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I don't want a tungsten Starship, but also, you might run into some mass problems there. I know, I'm just messing around. Oh, thank God, dude. Thank God. I was about to go off, man. I was about to go off. You got me, dude. You totally got me. I was about to be like, this mother, you know? Oh, that was good. That was good. Rods from the gods, but starship. Oh, boy. Just make it as big as the Sea Dragon, and then you don't need a heat shield. Robert Truax mentioned. So I took that personally, you know. Oh, okay. Okay. That was good. I like that. So yeah, Blue, I don't know, man. At SpaceX testing metallic tiles. They had metallic tiles on there to test ablation points. They were using the metal to basically gauge how close your bow shock is in certain areas. They made the tiles out of aluminum, dude. It's like that episode of Top Gear where Jeremy and James review Soviet vehicles and they find a Lada with aluminum drum brakes. You know what I'm saying? 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 You know. You find a Lada with aluminum cast drum brakes. It's just like, oh my God, what are you doing? So Blue potentially hasn't actually fixed anything and is still top heavy. Yeah, Wraith, I don't know. I mean, let's be real. If these people are like on the subreddit, if these people are willing to air out like personal grievances with the business on the subreddit anonymously, either they, you know, I mean, every company is going to have somebody that's, you know, like this, or could be that Blue's having problems. I don't know. I mean, you know, like the best thing that I can do is compare it. And I know that this is like, oh, don't do that. Compare it to SpaceX. SpaceX is another company. They're a big company. They have a lot of financial backing, right? And they you know, they're trying to do a similar task, right? There were always people that were grumbly employees at SpaceX. Always, you know, the burnout is a thing. Turnover rate's too high. You know, there are always people that are going to have criticisms that are going to, you know, as long as they can voice stuff anonymously, they will, right? I don't necessarily think anything is particularly wrong with Blue, though. Like, I can only speak from the outside looking in. Yeah, serious. I mean, SpaceX is no joke. If you want to have a work-life balance, no. Like, if I was an aerospace student right now, dude, and I was graduating, I would gun for SpaceX. I would do it right now while you can. Because if, you know, I don't know how some of these melon farmers do it, like balancing a family life, balancing like family with working at SpaceX. Like, so, you know, there's people out there that do it. I don't know how they do it, but they do. But anyway, going back to Blue. Guys, I think Dave's trying to get away from this, but I don't know if the layoffs are going to, if they're not going to. He said they got rid of a lot of engineering, R&D, and program project management. The project management thing, I'd be kind of curious. Engineering and R&D, I do understand. You generally do that after a rocket's first flight. Like that's kind of par for the course. Now, in terms of project management and thinning out layers of management, I think that part speaks to the fixing Bob Smith's screw ups part. I think that speaks volumes there. My boss was a principal engineer for Raptor while he had kids. Wasn't a great experience. Well, yeah, exactly. Like I said, if I was an aerospace student, I would work at SpaceX, work there for a couple of years, and then go find a job at Blue or somewhere else in the industry. Because, you know, you want to do that whole family thing. And if you have SpaceX on your resume, you're going to get hired, you know? trimming the fat, leaning out the company focus. Yeah, I suppose. I wouldn't mind farming melons. Oh, who wouldn't? Yeah, Liz, that's also a good point. I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, I have thoughts about this, but you know, and I have my personal suspicions, but I kind of don't want to put those out there, you know, in that regard, because I don't know. Don't some people stay at SpaceX too and can deal with the pace? Yeah, everybody's different, Trey, for sure. You know, I don't know, man. Now that I'm thinking about it, I just said like, oh, I worked there 5 years and go. Like, I can't, I don't know if I can say that honestly, you know, now that I'm really thinking about it, but good point, but I got nuked, so what I said was clearly invalid. No, you swore in my chat. I don't like cursing. I have my mods time out people that are cursing, and I time myself out, and I stop what I'm doing for a second if I swear. Sometimes it happens inadvertently. Your point was fine. Articulate it without swearing. You can do it. I wonder if it has any connection to the 400 jobs lost at Boeing, or if that's just a coincidence. I'm not sure. I mean, because like the flip side of this, guys, you know, it's just RE me working somewhere. I work easily 80 hours a week. I've been doing that for a really long time. When you do this job, and well, like, it's not like I just come in here and play games. I'm doing research for the games. Right now, I do other work with NSF. Like, there's always back end. There's always something to learn. There's, you know, keeping up with the current space news and knowing about topics that are coming in. Like, I should have prepared more for Blue this time. Yeah, dude, you got to live and breathe this kind of job, you know, but that's this kind of job, you know. I guess what I'm saying is like to kind of bring all my thoughts together with what's going on with Blue, it very much seems like they're trying to pivot to be more like SpaceX, but I'm not sure if they're going to get there. Because SpaceX is a very, very unique place. And I think trying to be like, oh, we got to be like that. We got to be like that. We got to be like that. You know, is like trying to capture lightning in a bottle two times in a row. Like, even if you did it once, it's still something ridiculous. Like, it's still something like crazy and very unlikely. I think Blue needs to blaze their own trail, to be 100% honest. And maybe, you know, maybe I'm not well versed enough in this to know, right? I obviously don't work for that company, you know, like, it's a totally different culture. Well, yeah, Skeleton, that's the other thing, dude. If it's a totally different culture, if you're trying to make it more like SpaceX now, that's not going to end well at all. That's not going to end well at all. That will end very poorly. They need to find their own way, exactly. And I'm not sure they've done that yet. So maybe this is the answer to that. However, okay, I'll just go outright and say it. What's the business case for New Glenn? What's the business case for it? This is not a rhetorical question. What is the business case for this? What's the business case for this rocket? What is like, Project Kuiper and NASA. Vulcan is doing the majority of the heavy lifting with that. I mean, albeit using Blue's engines. NASA contracts are, I highly doubt that sustainable lunar development is enough money to finance the development of that vehicle. Same as Starship? Okay. So what's the business case for Vulcan past then? Well, seriously, okay. I'm going somewhere with this, okay? It all goes back with commercial launch vehicles to the chicken and the egg thing, okay? So do you build a bigger launch vehicle anticipating a market, or do you build a launch vehicle as a response to a market? A vehicle like Vulcan is a response to a market, right? A vehicle like New Glenn is supposed to build the market. Now, Falcon 9 was the same way, right? Same idea. Falcon 9 built its own market, Starlink. And the revenue streams came from somewhere else. Didn't come from launching stuff into space. If I'm thinking about this right, that's where New Glenn is going, right? So I guess in order to figure out like where Blue's culture is, right? What's the direction? I think answering that question would really help us understand why this happened. Does that make sense? And keep in mind, I'm spitballing here. I'm trying to think this through because there's a lot of different cases why something like this could happen. I don't think it's anything particularly bad. I think Dave Limp and Jeff Bezos are trying to do something. They're trying to do something. They're trying to very specifically steer their company in a direction. I'm trying to figure out what that specific direction is. Now, we all know Blue's end goal. Blue's end goal is to build cities in space, right? I'm having difficulty connecting this decision to that. Would putting a Blue lander on the moon before Starship change that? Okay. I don't know. It certainly would be good marketing for your vehicle, that's for sure. Off topic a bit, but does New Glenn have more Delta V than Falcon Heavy to send stuff interplanetary? No, it does not. No, it doesn't. Yeah, well, Dave Limpus said they want to fly the lander this year. What decision? So, Badojo, Blue Origin laid off 10% of their workforce this morning. No, because SpaceX can send a lander to the moon right now with Falcon 9. Their own, though. So, Cirrus, if that was the case, let's play off that was the notion, right? Let's play off of this now, because I'm trying to talk myself through this instead of teaching you guys something. We're trying to brainstorm it, just like what we're doing with workers, hopefully with less train tracks. New Glenn was always meant to be the building block that the company's true ambitions are built on. It's just the delivery truck. Okay. What is it delivering and what market? Oh, 100%. I am too. Okay, cool. So say that was your goal. You wanted to put a lander on the moon before SpaceX, your own lander. They want to land an SLD prototype before SpaceX lands Starship on there. Where does that position you? Where does it position you? Does that position you to better receive contracts from NASA for logistics services? What market are you trying to capture here? Like, it's very, if you, like, and this goes back to what I was saying. What's the business case for New Glenn, right? You know, right now on paper, there is none. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be. Jeff Bezos has really deep pockets. He can keep funding this project until a market happens, right? It positions you on the moon. Yep, I always thought they were going for mining rights so he can build his weird legacy idea. I feel New Glenn is better than Falcon Heavy and could be used as Falcon 9. I don't know what that means, Yuri, but all right. It's less about beating SpaceX and more about building an entire lunar business that other companies want to pay for. Will they, though? What's New Glen's lunar payload mass capability? Shmamaron, New Glenn is opting for a on-orbit refueling architecture to get their lander out there. So instead of building a bigger lander or a bigger spaceship like SpaceX is doing with Starship, they're just going to emphasize New Glenn flight cadence. So New Glenn can't throw a lot to the moon by itself. It certainly can't throw a lot to the moon with people on board or any human-rated stuff out there relatively quick. You got to refuel. But they're aiming to launch New Glenn a lot at the same time. Think Amazon Web Services, but for space. Interesting. Phil, what's that?
We're expecting to land on the moon between 12 and 16 months from today.
12 and 16 months from
Yes.
today.
Yes. And I understand I'm saying that publicly, but that's what our team is aiming towards.
But that's for the cargo lander. What about humans?
For humans, we're working with NASA on the Artemis 5 mission. That's planned for 2029.
That's not so different from Elon Musk's forecast.
Okay, that was 60 minutes. So, now that I'm really thinking about this, okay? Yeah, okay. All right, guys. I think I've drawn a pretty good conclusion here. I have a hypothesis. Bear with me here. So, Blue got rid of a lot of their development, R&D, project managers, stuff like that. Dave Limp also said they want to emphasize operations. So, in order for their business case for New Glenn to work, you need to launch New Glenn a lot. You need to move to a higher launch cadence. All right, and moving to a higher launch cadence, right? You might need different personnel for that. And by might, I mean you will. You making the pivot from, development of a product to mass production of a product, right? The business needs to be set up differently for that. Which basically makes sense. Guys, I don't think, and that's basically what they said. They said they want to launch New Glenn more, right? You want to launch New Glenn more, you got to pivot to operational flight cadence. Operational flight cadence in this particular case is like launching New Glenn once a week, right? That's operational flight cadence. Launch it for Project Kuiper, launch it for Blue Ring, and this is why I asked, what's the business case? Project Kuiper, Blue Ring, their space station ideas, orbital reef, sustainable lunar development, cargo landers to the moon. That's it. And that all centers around high cadence of launch, right? So, once again, this kind of seems in line with pivoting to operations. Like I said, SpaceX did the same thing in 2019. They did. And then they pivoted to launching Falcon 9s every two days, right? That's what they pivoted to, right? So, and for all the people that have been laid off since 2019 with SpaceX, they've hired 4 more people in their place because they pivoted to operations and then rehired later. Is there any vehicle where the opposite of high flight cadence is better? SLS? There's also the expansion of services to support such a large cadence for New Glenn, building Slick 9, getting a second Cape Canaveral. Yeah, guys, and okay, I wanted to talk myself through it just to be absolutely sure. At face value, this seems just like they're pivoting to operations, right? They don't need as many people developing things because they don't need as many things developed because they need to move into operations. Making a prototype ain't the same thing as building, your mass-produced vehicle. It's not the same. It isn't. It's not the same at all. I just wanted to make sure that, I didn't leave any mental stone unturned. I'm pretty dang sure they're just trying to pivot to operations, which makes sense. They have nothing proven, nothing even basically operational. New Glenn is an operational Wraith? Did it not launch into space and deliver its payload to orbit? Did we miss that? What would you call that? I mean, wow. I think you're misunderstanding. I'm talking about operational from a systems engineering point of view. All right. When in rocket systems engineering, your high point when your company is the widest, right? And it's the most expensive is the ramp up to your first operational mission, right? So the New Glenn launch. After that, you pivot into operations from there. That pivot into operations, per these definitions, per systems engineering, NASA's systems engineering definitions, is the point of operational status. New Glenn is operational as of now. I know it's one. I get it. You're not wrong. From a systems engineering standpoint, it's operational. So now you move into making a lot of them, right? And yeah, if you're going to sit there and you're going to say, it's just one, whatever. Yeah, I get it. Like I said, I have my reservations about pivoting this quickly into operations. SpaceX was reusing Falcon 9s way before. Like, Falcon 9s were reused in 2016, 2017, 2018, going up until SpaceX, up until the layoffs at SpaceX, right? That was a thing. It happens. But SpaceX already had a very good understanding of what they needed to do to pivot into operations. I think that's fair. Honestly, I think that's a fair criticism right there. You haven't even reused a booster. I don't know the ins and outs of New Glenn, but what I can tell you is that things are going to change. You're going to learn stuff getting that vehicle back. You're going to learn new things, and things are going to change, and you're going to need additional quote unquote operational development here. Like, you're going to have to redesign some things to better optimize the rocket for the throughput that they're looking for. So, and that's what I mean about, I get that you're trying to pivot into operations, but also at the same time, you're that confident in the design? Okay. They haven't repeated it either yet. It's been less than a month. It's been less than a month. It's going to take a second, dude. That rocket's huge. I probably would have waited till a couple of cores get reused, but at the same time, it's not like Blue's hierarchy is the exact same as SpaceX, and SpaceX is 100% analogous here either. Putting on the background noise so the headset doesn't shut off. Was it confirmed that the engines were throttled on New Glenn's first flight? If so, I wouldn't consider it a fully tested vehicle. I would expect them to use all the rocket's capability for the first flight to demonstrate the technology. That was speculation on my part. I have no idea, Lava. But I saw Dave Limp said high cadence basically in news video for some news channel. Okay. They laid off a lot of... So, per Dave Limp, they said he said this resulted in eliminating some positions in engineering, R&D, and program project management, and thinning out our layers of management. What happens if they keep losing cores and they say, crap, we have a design issue, we need to change a bunch? That's what's irking me, goalie. That's what's irking me. There's no way this isn't a finalized design. There's not a chance. And I think that's what Wraith was hinting at, right? I guess it depends where those engineering, R&D, and program project management positions were, you know? In the long term, do you think that the lower chamber pressure on the B4 compared to Raptor will help with reusability? Yes. I'm just trying to make sure I got my finger on the pulse. The reason why, guys, is because I'm going to be asked this question. Why did Blue lay off 1,000 people for pretty much every day for like the next 2 weeks? Just want to make sure I understand the issue here, like what's going on, you know? Thinning out our layers of management and key here. It sounded like they didn't lay off the engineers. It sounded like they laid off middle managers of those engineers because they realized the engineers are better managers of themselves than the dedicated middle managers they had boasted about in training. I guess, Aqualex, the reason why I'm kind of rambling here and kind of probing around is I'm trying to see if something is wrong. I knew something was wrong in 2017 because they were hyping up New Glenn like crazy, and then after 2017, they went silent. They went silent until 2023 when Dave Limp came in. Like, silent. Like, not a word, nothing on updates. They updated their promo video once in like 2019 or 2020 or something like that. And that's about it. Same exact promo video, but with different graphics. And they went silent after launch. New Glenn launched under Dave's management. Okay. That's a big thing with the shuttle. Too many managers and politicians making decisions. Yeah, I know. I just told you that. Mr. Tungsten. I just told you this. The shuttle's design was fantastic, okay? It was fantastic. It was a management problem. You know, I understand the operational pivot, dude, but I can't help but think in the back of my mind that that might also be a thing. You know? And if so, what kind of culture do you have here? Are you really going to be able to launch New Glenn every week? I guess time will tell. Once again, I'm not trying to be critical because I don't, you know, like, oh, I have an axe to grind with Blue. I like Blue. I like New Glenn. I think it's a great rocket. I've been defending New Shepard for frigging years. I think that design is fantastic. I think it's really good. A deep throttleable Hydrolox reusable booster. Yeah. Yeah. Talk to me when somebody else has done that. That's really difficult. That is a really hard thing to make. And they, you know, everybody's just like, it looks like a pee-pee. Like, I'm just thinking, like, you know, I mean, and that just, you know, knows what we said at the beginning of this, man. Seems like you're just fixing all of Bob Smith's bad management decisions. Like, Yeah, Aqualix for sure. What if this is a stop on R&D for reuse? Well, Julia, if you want to pursue reuse with New Glenn, you'd, once again, that's the pivot to operations thing that I'm talking about. You know, that's what I mean by pivoting to operations. If you don't pivot to operations, will you ever catch up? Bingo. I'm trying to, like, I'm trying to make sure that this is, like, not anything, if we, like, we miss something. Because, yeah, layoffs are bad. Guys, and for what it's worth, in 2019, when this happened with SpaceX, I did the exact same thing. I put SpaceX under a microscope during a space news segment just to be absolutely sure. Heck, some of my buddies got laid off in that. A good friend of mine got laid off in those 2019 layoffs at SpaceX. He's a Twitch streamer too. You know, I just wanted to make sure I was understanding what was going on here. You know? The root reason for why I want to understand this, one, everybody's going to ask me. That's fine. That's all good. Everyone's going to ask. Two, I love SpaceX. I love Blue. I love all the commercial providers, you know, like Firefly, you know, is doing their amazing things with Blue Ghost, right? Rocket Lab is hitting it out of the park. They're amazing. I talked about how awesome they were yesterday. Like, I'm still skeptical of the commercial market. I'm still skeptical. Like, not because I'm like burying my head in the sand. I'm skeptical because it all goes back to constellation stuff, dudes. I remember what it was like to have nothing. Like, I will never ever take anything that anyone does in the spaceflight industry, commercial or public, for granted. You know what I mean? I'll never do it. So if there's any signs of trouble, I kind of go into picnic mode. Uh-oh. Is this a red flag? Is this not a red flag? I need to figure it out, because when I was much younger and following the space program, not streaming, but following the space program, the red flags were there for Constellation getting canceled, right? The red flags were everywhere, and I didn't notice because I was naive. So, like, and once again, I understand Blue is not NASA. I get that. I get it. It's not the same. Like, commercial, you have to be very careful because they don't have to tell you anything. They can be silent. They don't need to say nothing, right? They don't need to say anything. A commercial company could just up and we're done. Bye-bye. See you later. That can happen. That can absolutely happen. Look at Space Perspective. That happened the other day. Nobody batted an eye. Space Perspective pulled the plug the other day. I covered it on Space News. You can just bye-bye. If the board says, oh, this isn't profitable, bye-bye, then you're done. That's it. So I pay attention to this stuff really, really hard on purpose. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not trying to go find fodder to hate Blue Origin or anything. I just want to understand the position better. Blue, I think skepticism is warranted as long as you can be proven wrong in the industry. Mm-hmm. EJ has post-traumatic stress syndrome. Dude. Yeah, Yuri, when, 2011 rolled around, we lost the shuttle. We lost Constellation. We got this, frankly, and I don't mean this to be mean, we got this frankly inferior rocket design and architecture to Constellation called SLS. Now, don't get me wrong, in 15 years, time changes a little bit, right? But comparatively to Ares, like when both of them were paper rockets, Ares is way better. We had all this awesome stuff coming. There was all this great stuff in the pipe, and instead of like looking at everything under a magnifying glass, I got broadsided by just basically we're going back to the moon to never mind. Maybe we'll fly people back to the space station and whenever. This is the kind of stuff I'm like, you're gonna what? It's like that. It's like that. The Inglorious Bastards meme. You are thinking about canceling the space program, are you not? You are harboring enemies of the state, are you not? You know, you are thinking about canceling it, aren't you? You know, like, I get very, like, antsy when this kind of stuff happens. But yeah, I think Blue's trying to pivot to operations. Now, you know, Eric Berger in his article said that, you know, Eric Berger says that Jeff Bezos has been pushing for programs to become, at worst, revenue neutral. Now, I'm not one to say, you know, I can run a business better than Jeff Bezos. So he clearly needs to see a need for these vehicles to at least push on their development costs. He's looking to get a return on investment for New Glen's. And pivoting to operations might be the way to do that, but I'm not sure. At worst, revenue neutral with what contracts? Yeah, Shmam, like... And that brings me back to the question that I asked before. What's the business case for New Glenn? Are you anticipating a lunar market? Are you anticipating gateway logistics services and moon-based logistics services for NASA stuff? Are you know, somebody said it in chat, maybe they're trying to get mining rights on the moon. The Artemis Accords might have something to say about that. Project Kuiper might be the revenue stream. But New Glenn isn't launching a lot of those. Launching its own satellites, artificial revenue neutral. So, Liz, do you remember a second ago, back when you got timed out, I was saying, you know, is Blue trying to be like SpaceX? Are you trying to copy SpaceX's plan? Like, you're trying to capture lightning in a bottle twice, so maybe there's no other way to do it. Maybe it's a convergent business strategy. It's possible that, I mean, we see it with cars all the time. That's why all the cars freaking look the same nowadays. Yeah, Yuri, for sure, for sure. EJ, my stream froze after you said the line from Inglourious Bastards, so you were just staring into my soul for 15 seconds. You are thinking about canceling this space program, are you not? What about the Blue Ring? Okay. Modular satellite services? For who? They're working on the NSSL cert? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay, Phil. You could pin yourself for some DoD launch contracts. But, okay, so here's what I'm turning in my head. All of this stuff that we've mentioned. Vulcan is going to do the majority of lifting for Project Kuiper, right? New Glenn will do some of it. Ariane 6 is going to do some of it as well, which is... Okay. Okay. All of this stuff is hinting at a not 1 week, one New Glenn a week launch cadence. All of that stuff is hinting at maybe New Glenn launching once a month. Am I thinking about that right? Blue Ring might have a decent market from the Department of Defense. Space Forces really likes Northrop's Espastar product line. Yeah, of course, of course. No, they have not, Moist, no. See what I'm getting at? Like, all their existing contracts right now are, like, with everything that we can see, SLD, NSSL certification for national security missions, right? Project Kuiper, I think they have 12 launches with. You know, they have the Escapade mission, whenever the heck that's going to happen, right? This is all kind of pointing towards maybe launching once a month. Not launching once a week. But they say they want to do that. I think the max they want to do is 24 a year. And that's in a few years from now. Yeah, exactly. 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 Right? Very interesting. You would need to support your own constellation when the sats come down. Project Kuiper is at 1,000 kilometers, Yuri. Those satellites are never coming down. Nope. All of this kind of suggests that Blue is opting for a more, what's the right way to say this? More legacy way of doing things? Like, I'll give you an example. The space shuttle, right? We're going back to it. What they foresaw the space shuttle doing was flying, you know, once or twice a month, maybe 3 to 4 times a month if you really needed to do something, right? If you really wanted to do something nuts, right? The space shuttle's high end of launch cadence would have been 48 launches a year. 48 out of 52, right? That would have been the high launch cadence. So maybe once a week. That's like the high launch cadence of the shuttle, right? The shuttle would have probably operated doing between, had Challenger not happened, it would have probably ended up being like between 24 and 30 missions, right? 24, maybe 24 missions, maybe like as kind of garden variety year for the shuttle program, right? That's kind of what they wanted to do. That's where it was going to end up, right? It very much seems like Blue is kind of aiming in that kind of bracket. Like, we're not looking at New Glenn launching like every 2 days. It seems to be like they want to launch it every 2 weeks, maybe. Still amazing. Like, don't get me wrong. That's still awesome. Like, I'm not trying to say, well, they don't launch as much as SpaceX. That's stupid. I'm trying to understand where they're going with this. BE4 is at least, BE4 is at 1 a week at least. Yeah, seriously. Interesting. Does New Glenn even have any big payloads in the books? The lander is a pretty big payload, Liz. Yep. Do you mean physically big or high profile? Kuiper bought 92 launches. Those need to be before 2029 per the FCC. That's 23 a year. Not all of them from New Glenn, How to Rock. See? Now, okay, where am I going with this 24 launch a year launch cadence thing, right? Where am I going with that? Well, the pivot to operations here that I think they're doing, you can't really compare it to SpaceX. You can't compare it to SpaceX because their end goal isn't launching every 2 days, right? Interesting. Yeah, and that makes more sense. So, getting rid of the R&D engineers and project managers and middle management now, it would be better to do that sooner rather than later so you could pivot and then lock in that 24 launches a year and just keep doing that for the foreseeable future. And I think that's what Jeff Bezos means when he says at worst revenue neutral. I'm pretty sure that's what he's talking about. Which makes perfect sense. Like, yeah, I mean, honestly, this announcement seems to have survived my skepticism. It makes perfect sense. That sounds right to me. That seems very Bezos, right? Yeah, like I said, it reads. That sounds right. Why are the lay scientists in my book of phase freaking out about an asteroid? An asteroid has a higher probability. Asteroid 2024 YR4 has a higher probability than most asteroids of hitting the Earth. The likelihood of it hitting the Earth as of right now is like 2% or something, which, albeit very low, is higher than most anything else. Like, we've never had an asteroid come this close. It'll fly by in 2032. And we're not even 100% sure if it's going to miss us or not. Why? Because it's really far away. We know it's going to come near us. We don't know how close. We won't know for a little while. James Webb is looking at it. It's going to image the asteroid. Should plan for 24 launches a day in 10 years. Home Planet, I don't think they're trying to do that, at least not yet. But yeah, this you know, the whole thing with going on with Blue, kind of me thinking about the whole thing has really, it tracks. This tracks exactly for a company that's under the Amazon umbrella. That tracks. It tracks with what we've heard them say. It seems like Dave Limp is just doing what he said he's going to do. Guys, layoffs in the aerospace industry happen. It happens. It happens all the time. Like, it happens. Especially when a new product comes out. Like, I can give you a good example. It's not just rockets. In the late 80s, Bell, Vertol, and Boeing were working on a tilt rotor aircraft called the V-22 Osprey, right? Right? They were working on it through the 80s, and they had a very strict, when they figured out the Cold War was ramping down, Bell, Vertol, and Boeing had a very strict schedule of getting it done by 1991 so you could start using them, right? So, come 1991, they basically fired all the engineers. They laid off a bunch of people and then tried to pivot to operations in time so they can get some of that Cold War money. The stuff happens. Whether the results are going to be good or bad, well, I don't know. That remains to be seen. Lucy is actually relatively close to YR4 in terms of orbit. Really, NG? That's cool. It's a mixture of lots and lots of factors. Yeah. Serious, is that in regards to Blue or anything else? Anyway, I think I've thoroughly looked through this good enough. Long story short, guys, aerospace layoffs happen. The company's Dave Limp is trying to pivot the company to operations. That it can be summed up no more than that. That's the easy answer. It's pretty much it. What would happen if Blue doesn't get the core back on Flight 2? They'll build another one and really make sure that they get it back? EJ, we need to see if they hired someone already that they could hint to their operation or would hire. So, yeah, Yuri, I mean, we're never going to know that information, but whatever. Based on the engine build you mentioned the other day, they can do 7 new Glenn core stages, all 7 launched this year. That doesn't include Vulcan, Darkru. You know, how many of those engines are going to ULA? Interesting. Interesting. Oh yeah, Scott. Yeah, that's interesting. And the Lucy probe from NASA is like right next to YR4. That's weird. Interesting. All right, guys. Well, I think we've discussed that pretty good. I was trying to just make sure, you know, look through everything and kind of understand what's going on. I think I got a good understanding of this. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's get through the rest of the space news here. So this next bit of news is coming from Stoke. So this is Stoke Aerospace. They finally gave a name to their heat shield shaped second stage engine right there. We saw this. I covered this for Space News from a picture of them putting it on a trailer next to their other engine. And yeah, it's very interesting because that's a rocket engine. It looks like a heat shield, but it's a heat shield and a rocket engine combined into one. Interestingly enough. Vulcan is fine, Cirrus. Good to know. Good to know. So Stoke Space, introducing Andromeda, our next generation rapidly reusable upper stage engine with an integrated metallic heat shield. Named after our closest galactic neighbor, Andromeda is designed to make our upper stage reusable without inspections between flights. Yep, heat shield shaped rocket engine. They included their active cooling with tiles. Those aren't tiles. Those are plates of metal that have cooling channels behind them. The cooling channels are between the turbine machinery and the exhausts, the rocket exhausts. That's the rocket engines, but it's powered by one power pack. Think about it in a similar way to Energomash's RD-180 engine or RD-170. RD-170 has one power pack and 4 nozzles. Or a Soyuz motor, the RD-108. It has 6 nozzles with one power pack. 4 main nozzles and 4 verniers. This has one power pack. The turbine machinery moves the cold propellants through the heat shield, and then they go to a multi-nozzle style engine on the outside of the shield. Pretty cool, huh? That's one rocket engine. Yep, it is a regeneratively cooled heat shield. Instead of running the propellants through the nozzle to keep it cool, it runs it through the heat shield to keep it cool. And because they're splitting up all the rocket's cheech over a bunch of small nozzles, you could use stuff, you could make these smaller nozzles out of like niobium, like what SpaceX does. And so they could passively shed the heat. It's actually super freaking smart. Interesting, fun and interesting fact. And this is the reason why I shared this news second. Andy Lapsa, the guy that founded Stoke Aerospace, or Stoke Space, left Blue Origin in 2017 because of Bob Smith. I'm serious. I'm serious. That's dude. Can't make that up. Plasma will not get inside of it. No, it's metal. Yeah, he cited the management. That's right. Yep. The words without inspection seem borderline suicidal. I don't know. See, Andy Lapsa right there. Yeah. He was like a principal engineer on B4, interestingly enough. This is what EJ said. I'm wondering if those are active radiators, not enough detail for this view. They're metal plates with metallic cooling channels behind them, guys. Like, I don't know how many times I need to tell you this. Oh, another fun fact. This engine has a dump line, very similar to the Merlin vacuum engine. You know, when we're watching Falcon 9 launches, you have that little vent line on the side and all the snowflakes come out of that. The vent line's right in the dead center right there. I forgot to mention that. Film cooled. Yeah. Because when this thing is coming back down, it's a reusable second stage. The second stage is shaped like a pod, right? When the thing's coming back down, the turbine machinery for the engine turns on, and it just dumps it out. It dumps everything out the dump line, not through the rocket engines. To film cool, regeneratively cool the backside of the heat shield, and film cool the front side of the heat shield. Probably should have mentioned that, guys. Sorry about that. What is this? That's a rocket engine, Mock. More pictures in the replies. Ooh. Yep, that is a second stage engine. Working under Bob Smith was like working in the seventh circle of hell. Baron, from what I understand, he would just denigrate everybody that would, like everybody that he would talk to. He killed the morale of the company. Like, somebody would be like, oh, I have this great idea. We should do this. And he'd be like, no, that's stupid. You're stupid. Go away. Carhill, I'm not nopers. Noper, I'm not doing that, man. The blog post has a bunch of info on the upgrades. Why look at the blog post when we could just look at pictures? Denver location was severely hit as was the Phoenix location. Visited the Denver office back in 2022. They occupied like the upper floors of the building, and there were like 4 or 5 people in the reception and some people in the meeting rooms waiting for online meetings to start. Okay. Are we blogging? Introducing Andromeda, our rapidly reusable high-performance upper-stage rocket engine. Updated design, upgrades performance, simplicity, and rapid reusability. At Stoke, we're laser-focused on our mission to enable seamless mobility to, through, and from space by using rockets that are fully, rapidly, and reliably reusable. Hang on, I gotta read that one more time. Hold on. Captain's log. We've come up across a company called Stoke. They seem to be laser focused on their mission to enable seamless mobility to, through,
Discovery, go at throttle up.
and from space by using rockets that are fully, rapidly, and reliably reusable. To achieve this, they're constantly learning through test and iteration. Each new design moves us closer to the holy grail of our industry, 100% full and rapid reusability. They seem to be a very precarious people, Mr. Spock. What? Oh yeah, Stoke will do hot staging too. Yeah, that kind of makes sense, Baron, considering the thrusters are, all your nozzles are on the outside of the core. It's kind of a given. Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. It's continuing mission. No, 5-year mission. Sorry. Buckmiss had a 119-month resub, and I thank you with all my heart for that 119-month resub. And then you had to go and ruin it by retrieving ad time. Roll off, bitch. It's just D20, Buck. Pictures, EJ. Talking like a politician to understand this. Captain's log, stardate 23.9, rounded off to the nearest decimal point. We've traveled back in time to save an ancient species from total annihilation. So far, no signs of aquatic life, but I'm going to find it. If I have to tear this universe another black hole, I'm going to find it. I've got to, mister! Anyway, today we're announcing the next iteration of our upper stage engine, which we're naming Andromeda. Built on lessons from earlier variants, Andromeda's new design, called Andromeda 2. So it's not just a clever name. Brings major improvements to performance, simplicity, and rapid reusability. With Andromeda 2, Andromeda Boogaloo, now mounted on its test stand at our Moses Sandals Lake test site, it's time to dive into what's new and why it matters. Yeah, that's their upper stage, guys. So you have a clamshell reusable fairing, and your upper stage is pod-shaped. Because the first stage engine is shaped like a heat shield. There seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere. That's Buzz Lightyear. That's not Star Trek. Just wait until Kevin Sorbo shows up. Oh, God. Jeff Bezos did let William Shatner go into zero gravity. That was cool. He was stoked. I see what you did there. Okay, a major leap for reusability. We view upper stage reusability as the last major challenge that must be conquered before launch costs go down. Okay? And availability and reliability go up. Oh God, these run-on sentences, man. We view upper stage reliability as the last major challenge that must be conquered before launch costs go down and availability and reliability go up, each by an order of magnitude. Can we punch the whoever wrote this copy in the face, like, really hard? Or do I need to go to the Derek Zoolander School for Kids Who Can't Read Good? They're STEM majors, not English majors. Touché. It's a problem that's faced the industry for decades, and rapidly reusing a high-performance upper stage rocket engine is a major part of the challenge. By integrating a metal heat shield with the engine, and by actively By integrating a metal heat shield with the engine and by actively cooling it with liquid hydrogen, there should not be a comma there. Stoke has created a system that can not only robustly survive the environments of orbital reentry, but can be ready to fly again immediately without inspection or refurbishment. It is truly the first of its kind. That's a fragment. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right, you can call me a piece of crap for being a grammar Nazi here. I have to read this, okay? Yeah, it's kind of my problem, okay? As with any new technology, incremental improvements bridge the gap between early prototype and mature form. That's right. Well, Andromeda 1 proved that the concept works through a robust testing program, including a vertical takeoff and vertical landing hopper, quote-unquote, flight, Andromeda 2 has better ascent performance, better down mass, space-to-Earth transport capacity, fewer parts, and it weighs less. It also looks a bit different, fragment. The following explains what's involved in these changes. Guys, this is tough. Is it just me? Like, is there an English major out there that's watching this? Is it just me? This is hard to read. Nodders, fragment, nodders. Okay. Dude. No, it's not just you. English major here. Yes, this is bad. Okay, good. All right. Like, I'm not trying to give him crap, and I'm not trying to put him on blast. Holy balls. I cannot read. This is tough to read aloud. And I read aloud stuff for a living. Like, okay. Andromeda 1, which combines a high-performance rocket engine with a liquid-cooled heat shield for upper-stage re-entry protection, is seen here on a flight demonstrating its vertical takeoff and vertical landing capabilities. That was in 2022, and that was awesome. They had the spacecraft take off, pitch over, and then come down and land. Okay, all right. Grammar aside, all right. If it's distracting, check this out. So the Andromeda 1 hopper test, or no, this was 2023. Not 2022. Pardon my French or grammar. Watch. So, look at this. Okay. That vehicle pitched over. I want you to think about this for a second. Okay? Look, it pitched over. Like, watch. You can see it pitch. Why do I bring this up? Okay, so what? Do you see any thrust vector control on this thing? You see any TVC? There is none. They're modulating the thrust on the nozzles. That's very trick. That is pretty cool. Pretty cool. They can steer the thing by modulating differential thrust on all those nozzles. You can get the thing to basically pitch and yaw in any direction with no thrust vector control system. That's really cool. Yeah, no roll control though. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and guess, Jonas, that Andromeda 2 probably addresses this issue, but also, yeah, no roll control. But think about how cool that actually is, and how, awesome, that is for the rocket to, do something like that, without, thrust vector control systems, period, question mark. That's actually super cool. Ghosts! Period, question mark. Man, you'd hate German. Jawohl. There's someone on the wing. something. Can you burn a Ouija board? Period, question mark. Okay, anyway. Let's keep reading. Thruster design improvements. With Andromeda 2, we've reduced the number of thrusters from 30 to 24, but increased their individual size, and simplified the flow circuits to reduce the number of parts to save weight without compromising thrust precision or thrust vector control. We also improved the thrust injector design, which now delivers better performance and further improves engine efficiency. Andromeda 2's thruster nozzles are now designed to operate in two different modes. One in the vacuum... Andromeda 2, that wasn't a grammar thing. This was actually super cool. Andromeda 2's thruster nozzles are now designed to operate in two different modes, one in vacuum and one inside of the atmosphere. The vacuum nozzle produces a high expansion ratio for improved performance in space, and the sea level nozzle is designed to produce stable plume expansion inside the pressure of the atmosphere, driving propulsive landing maneuvers. There's your thrust modulation mechanism. The thruster nozzles, they found a way to constrict flow in the nozzle, which is, once again, really cool. During propulsive landing maneuvers, excuse me. Sorry, Alexa, I'm waiting for the other shoe to fall. This stuff's hard to read as it is. You can do roll control by having all the odd and even nozzles angled slightly clockwise or counterclockwise, doing the modulation trick in the odds and evens. It's possible. I would just use the thruster. Anyway, yeah, that's a way to do it. Base heat shield changes. The second stage base heat shield is one of our determining elements. It serves not just as armor, but as an integral part of the Andromeda engine. By applying regenerative cooling, a technology proven to work for rocket engine chambers, which in the thermal environment is about 20 times more intense, Stoke has created a heat shield that can readily handle atmospheric re-entry and be ready for the next flight without refurbishment. Was that one sentence? Generally you want 4 to 5 sentences per paragraph, but one is fine. One is fine. It's good. It's good. While these fundamentals remain unchanged, the new design features a different form factor. Andromeda 2's base shape returns to one of our earliest concepts, featuring a continuously curved contour across the entire base of the vehicle, and thruster nozzles fully embedded along the outer circumference. This geometry reduces weight compared to Andromeda 1, increases down mass capacity, and together with new thruster nozzles, enables a more definitive qualification program in which we can test the thruster ignition and operation in vacuum conditions at our ground test facilities. Holy sh... Can I read that again? Because this geometry reduces... Okay, hold on. Andromeda 2's base shape returns to one of our earliest concepts, featuring continuously curved contour across the entire base of the vehicle and thrust... There should not be a comma there. Andromeda 2's base shape returns to one of our earliest concepts. It features a continuously curved contour across the entire base of the vehicle and thruster nozzles fully embedded along the outer circumference. This geometry weight compared to Andromeda 1 increases down mass capacity, and together with the new thruster nozzles enables a more definitive qualification program in which we can test the thruster ignition and operation in vacuum conditions at our ground test. You already said you're testing it over here. You don't need to say you're testing it again 5 words down the sentence. Holy balls. I need to read it again because This geometry reduces weight compared to Andromeda 1. And together with the new thruster nozzles, it enables a more definitive qualification program in which we can test the thruster ignition and operation in vacuum conditions. This mitigates a big risk ahead of our first orbital launch. Okay, so they took a lot of dry mass out of their stage design by reverting to an older design. So before, with like if you look at the hopper, there's like there's a rim on the heat shield right there. If you look, see how it kind of goes down. There's a straight line right there. Yeah, they got rid of that. The thruster design is integrated directly into the engine. So like if you look at that trailer picture that I showed yesterday, you see how the older design stopped right here, went up, and then went flat, right? This one doesn't. The concave shape of the heat shield goes from the center all the way out to the edge, and the thrusters are using what's called a canted nozzle. If I'm looking at this correctly, they're canted. So it's a nozzle, it's an engine that's pointed straight down, but its nozzle is cut sideways. Canted nozzles are used in certain applications in spaceflight. For what it's worth. Oh, Yuri, this is bad. It's so hard to read this. Like, yeah, it's messing with my head. Hey, Meat Snack, what's going on? This is a personal example. I tell you what, engineers are not good at writing copy. Okay. Andromeda 2 writes, seen in its shipping fixture next to Zenith. On the left. Oh, shit. Asbot. Increased serviceability of the engine. Okay, you guys were wondering about inspection and stuff. Packaging. Oh god. All right. Serviceability are difficult constraints in any aerospace design, and Andromeda's form factor presents some unique challenges due to its design. For Andromeda 2, design efforts have been focused on turbine machinery and instrumentation placement, feedline design, and thruster pod connections to better optimize operability. These changes further reduce complexity and allow the entire engine to be serviced or even replaced within hours or minutes. Rapid turnaround isn't merely a goal, it's baked into the design. Steve Ree, this is tough, man. It's tough. This is... I think you guys might be right. Ernock, you might be right. I think it's ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT wrote this. Nobody could look over the damn copy. Like, I've been writing copy for NSF for like 2 weeks straight, man. Maybe it's just me, but like, the script for the video that I'm working on, I think you guys are gonna like. I hope. Like this. 5 more minutes of this, I'm gonna get mad. I'll check it, Baron. We'll look at it after this. All right. These changes further reduce complexity and allow the entire engine to be serviced or even replaced within hours or minutes. Rapid turnaround isn't merely a goal, it's baked into the design. Okay. So I've noticed with the Andromeda design, they have service panels here all along the outside of the engine. So it seems like the thrust structure is also part of the engine on the second stage. And that's what those service doors are for. That's all one integrated piece. I'd assume that's what that's referring to, which is pretty sweet. Like, don't get me wrong. All the grammatical errors and interesting choice of grammar here. It doesn't subtract from the fact that that is a really trick piece of engine. That's super cool. Stoke is awesome. Like, I think that's really neat. Stage 1 interfaced in hot staging. As we've progressed from concept demonstration to orbital vehicle design, we've put concerted effort into the stage-to-stage interface. The result elegantly ties Andromeda's heat shield to stage 1 during ascent and effectively eliminates the need for the interstage volume and mass. Yep. That accommodates accommodates large upper stage nozzles on typical engines. Laughs in RL10B2. No. When fixed to the stage 1 during ascent, Andromeda's thrusters are positioned outboard of the stage 1 outer diameter. This allows Andromeda to ignite while still attached to the first stage without causing damage to the base of stage 2. And without the need for a heavy one-time use interstage shield to protect stage 1. Taking a dig at Starship? You're taking a dig at Starship. Okay. All right, guys. Bold strategy. Let's see if that pays off. This hot staging operation reduces gravity losses from the flight profile, eliminates the need for stage separation pushers, and overall significantly improves Nova's mass capacity to orbit. Yeah, there's some CFD of what they're talking about. Yeah, there's no interstage because there's no nozzle for this. Yes. A numerical simulation of a hot staging. Now I know someone didn't write this. Yeah. Numerical staging. Insert 3 meme from Inglourious Bastards. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Insert the 3 meme. Yes, the numerical simulation of a hot staging maneuver. You guys know what I'm talking about? I don't know, Baron, maybe. No? Okay. Anybody here German? I know there's some Germans out there. Hallo, mein Funds. Wie geht's? Now I got your attention. If you're counting on your fingers in German, right? Ein, zwei, drei. Nein, drei. Right? Germans count 3 like this. In Inglourious Bastards, there are Americans that are undercover, and they're playing a card game with Germans in the movie, and one of the guys does this. He counts to 3 like this, and the German immediately knows that he's not German. Right? With a thumb. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, like this. Excuse me. You're right. So, that's the whole joke. I didn't explain it right, but now I explained it right, so it's probably not as funny. Whatever. I have since been corrected by a bunch of Germans, so that kind of is funny. How contextual. Right? That means bunghole in some country. What the heck is a bunghole? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's 1, 2. Yeah, that's right. Anyway. Moving on. Sorry about that. But that's the numerical simulation. That's what I'm getting at. No one calls that a numeric. Oh, yes, a simulation with numbers. Now I know ChatGPT wrote this. Hello, I'm running your stream in the background while I work. I was like, wait, Germans? Hello? Wie geht's, Forge? Long time no see. How do freedom units count? 1, 2, 3. That's how we do it. So in German, to do it right, it's 1, 2, and 3. Maybe, Liz. Are you German? All right, so Stoke was founded with the goal of making the space economy a natural extension of the global economy that will require seamless mobility to, through, and from. Oh, God, you. Can I just not read the promo? Like, all right, that's enough. That's enough. All right, that's enough of that. Yeah, the Andromeda engine is super cool. Baron, is this what you wanted me to see? Oh dear. Oh. Forge English is your 5th language and this gave you a stroke. Uh-oh. So I guess the Department of Government Efficiency has its own website now. Oh, Ooh, interesting. I actually appreciate the hierarchical breakup of NASA. That's pretty cool. Oh, yeah. Does this mean SLS's funding is cut then? No, it doesn't mean anything. So, oh, this is actually kind of cool. So NASA would be under the executive, under large independent agencies. Yeah. National Aeronautics and Space Administration. And these are all of the NASA centers. Administrative offices. No workforce data yet. Okay. Okay, memes aside, this is actually super cool to see the breakdown. I'm not sure how I feel about the rest of this, but so Kennedy. Huh. The average employee has worked at Kennedy for 13 years. The average employee at Kennedy Space Center makes $133,836 a year, and the average employee is 47 years old. Administrative offices, Mission Directorate. Yeah, there's the Aeronautics, Exploration Systems Development Mission Directorate, Science Mission Directorate, Space Operations Missions Directorate. So this is flying people into space. This is probes. This is whatever the Artemis program is. And that's aeronautics stuff. So Exploration Systems Development Mission Directorate would be Moon to Mars Program Office, and SLS should be in here. I actually kind of dig this. This is cool to see the hierarchy. I actually like that. That's pretty neat. All right, let's see the breakdown at NASA. The average employee has worked at NASA for 14 years. The average employee makes about 150 G's a year. Dude, you could see the breakdown by pay grade. Holy crap, this is actually super neat. $2,800 employees make between 190 and 200K a year at NASA. That's probably like program managers and stuff. 41 employees make almost $500,000 a year, or $250,000 a year. between 220 and 240. The average employee is 48 years old. You guys remember what I was talking about from that National Science Foundation paper about how NASA has a brain drain because kids don't want to work there. They'd rather work at SpaceX or Blue or wherever. Look at what I'm talking about. Look at the fall off rate. See what I'm talking about? Look at that fall off. That fall off is awful. Look at the difference. 2,400 employees at NASA are between 40 and 44 years old. 315 are between 20 and 24. Average employee has worked there for 14 years. See what I'm talking about? That's no good. Tallest bar is 55 to 59 years old. To be fair, someone that young wouldn't have a degree yet. I mean, yeah, Kelly, I'm not sure the point you're trying to make. If you look at 25 to 29 years old, that's also the lowest on the list, except with the exception of the one that you said. There's more people that are 65 plus at NASA than there are between 25 and 29. I don't understand the point you're trying to make. That no matter how you cut it, that's bad. That shouldn't be how this. It shouldn't be that way. Sorry, I thought you were just focusing on the youngest one. Yep. Well, yeah, Grab Shark. Maybe you're saying there's a brain drain problem because there isn't enough, because not enough kids are coming up through engineering programs to replace retirees. SpaceX doesn't seem to have this problem. Neither does Blue. What's the difference between those companies? Like, so let's just take SpaceX. What's the difference? There's a very key fundamental thing that I'm talking about here that SpaceX does that NASA does not. They launch stuff, man. You want to inspire the next generation, you have to launch things. You have to have a space program. You can't have whatever this is. Yeah, Joe's like, yeah, I got it. Launch rockets. Yep, there you go. What about Artemis? Artemis would be under administrative here. Mission directorates, exploration. Moon to Mars is technically this. This is the Artemis program. They don't have any workforce data on it yet. Cabinet level agencies.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, I know, floating. What do you think? What do you think of, when do I think Artemis 3 will launch? Yeah, Rob, I'll get back to you on that. Kuro, 74-month resub. Where's JPL? JPL would be Executive Large Independent NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. No data yet. Over 25% of Goddard workforce makes 190 to 200K. Average age of employee is 49 years old. The NOAA, large independent agencies. NOAA would be here. Oh, Titan emotes. Two launches in-house since 2011. That's right, Cheeseburger. 59 to 50, 50 to 55 is the baby boomers. Makes sense since they're the largest group. I guess. They have info on the National Reconnaissance Office. Really? Why are... DOD, I dare you. Tessa, there's no info. There's no info. Not for it yet. I know that they're working on it. So... Yeah, see? Look at that. National Reconnaissance Office got a little bit of a bump. Interesting. This is just super interesting data. I kind of want to look through this. Yeah, I know, Trey. It's very interesting. With that being said, there's the vast majority of these things I do not want to click on and look at on stream. Let's just stick to NASA. I'm going to stay in my lane on this one. Actually, you want to see what's pretty crazy? Look at large independent agencies. Look at NASA. Look at how much substructure NASA has compared to everything else. Like, it's definitely up there compared to, like, the National Science Foundation, for instance, or the Smithsonian, or the NRC, or the FTC, or even the EPA. NASA's bigger than the EPA in terms of hierarchy. What's under general services? Interesting. I don't know what any of that means. I'm going to have to go look. You believe the data? I don't trust anything they say. Jim, why wouldn't we believe this? I mean, if you want to go and look at all the sources here, look, check it out. All workforce data from the U.S. Office of Personnel Management as of 2024. It seems like this website is just pulling from FedScope. It's just pulling data and putting it in a UI, but it's pulling it from other areas. Now that's a government website. I mean, it has a .gov workforce .gov extension, guys. Like, I don't... All right. Here, Jim, let's look at NASA. I know NASA's numbers. I know them pretty well, actually. I wish this compounded budget too, because I can't speak to wages per se, but yeah, I wish this had more of a budgetary breakdown, but interesting. General services are folks that maintain and purchase office space. Got it. Like, guys, I want to be very clear. I'm not in favor or against what's going on your screen. I just want to look at the numbers, right? You don't need to know how I feel about this. That's not any of your business. And I would really, really hope that you guys do this. You afford me the same courtesy. You know, I'm just looking at NASA's numbers. I'm just curious. I'll go back to regular space news if you want. Just say the word. We'll go right back to it. No problem. Can I say pancake? Sure. Is the fish agency on there too? Department of Fish and Wildlife probably is, but I already X'd out of it. I was going to go back to space news anyway. I would rather have budgets than salary. I agree, all systems. Yep. FAA is always complaining about a lack of workforce. All right. We'll check that and then we'll go. Where would the FAA be under? I think it's in executive medium independent. What about your meeting? It's not for another 2 hours. People don't like to talk about money, but we got to start with talking about it. Yeah, no doubt, guys. Interesting, Snake. Yeah, I don't know if it's savings. Peace Corps, Tax Court, Trade Commission, Holocaust Memorial, Surface Transportation. All right, let's try small government agencies. Well, somebody found it. You found it, Baron? What do you got? Jeez whiz. So this would be, oh, it's under the Department of Transportation and Cabinets. I like seeing the breakdown, numbers notwithstanding. This is actually super cool to see how it all comes together. The FAA has 45,306 people. Average employees work 13 years. Huh. See? That's what I'm talking about, guys. The FAA is not top heavy. Interesting. Interesting. Look at that. Huh. Why was the NASA budget dropped by $9 billion for fiscal year 2025? I sent you the link. What do you got? Okay. Well, huh. Yeah, Bedojo, go with dark theme. I have dark reader on this computer, so. Hmm. I was using that light. Oh, for man. See, I don't know if this budget has been passed yet, Trey. I would have to go figure out appropriations and stuff. Um, yeah, here, I'll give you the link. I'll post the link in chat. Don't kiss of death it. I'm looking through it right now, okay? Figured it out. NASA budget 2024 was 25.4 billion, and they requested 25.4 this year again. They just overran the budget there. Yeah. It has something to do with fiscal year procurement, dude. I don't think that's like NASA's budget getting gutted or anything like that. Anyway. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Did we kiss a death? What? Don't do that, guys. Okay, no, we're fine. Cool. When is the budget announced for this year? So Rem, you're okay, civics time. You're between we're between congresses right now. They didn't get it passed during the what was it? The I forget which Congress it is. Um no kiss of death, it's just badly built. Yep. Uh yeah, it hasn't passed yet. We don't know. We have to wait until Congress reconvenes. That should happen I think it's a month or something. Hold on one second. I got a message. All right, we'll dump through the rest of the space news. The new Congress has already been in session. Oh, well, there you go. They started in early January. Any more news on Rook? Nothing. Skeleton. Yeah, I got nothing right now. They've been busy on the Senate side with approving cabinet nominees. Yeah, there you go, David. That's what's going on. All right, anyway, let's keep going with the rest of the space news and we'll go from there. So this is from PLD Space. They took their new tanks outside and did a cryogenic test on them the other day. That's cool. Showing good progress there. PLD is a Spanish commercial launch provider. They're working on their Miura 5 launch vehicle. Vamos, Miura! Pretty cool. They're working on fuel tanks. That's pretty sweet, man. Next bit of news is coming from Vast. This is the company that, duct taped DOS to a wall the other day. Haven 1 solar array used triple junction solar cells to capture a broad range of light wavelengths to help power our systems. We performed electroluminescence tests, applying currents to the cells to emit light at known wavelengths. EL testing allows us to inspect each semiconductor layer, identify potential damage, and ensure peak performance. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like of your radiators. Cool. Cool beans. Yeah, guys, just on a quick side note, if you guys haven't seen that video, Das had a behind-the-scenes tour with Vast. And the video's up on NSF. It's really, really cool. Here. It's... Look. It is a deep dive into this stuff, dudes. Look. Ready? Look.
Look, we all love the International Space Station. It's inspired so many people, but it's on its last legs. You know, all this doom and gloom, it's gonna burn up, it's gonna be destroyed. Should we save it? Should we make it a museum?
I know that
What
camera.
I wanna know is who's gonna build the next one. That's why we're here today at VAST in Long Beach, California, to see what they're up to, building space stations. We've been invited to tour their factory to see actual space station hardware and the people and machines that build it. Let's get inside.
See? Watch this. It's a good video, dude. It's a good video. Was that camera level? I don't know. Let me take a look.
I love the International Space Station. It's inspired so many people, but it's on its last legs. You know, all this doom and gloom, it's gonna burn up, it's gonna be destroyed. Should we...
It looks pretty level to me. Watching that after this. I'm serious. Go watch it. It's behind the scenes with Max Hout, which Max is the freaking man. That's the guy, if you've heard me talk about Vast and you heard me talk about what Max does, he's he's from the streaming industry, believe it or not. Yeah, he's from the streaming industry. If you've ever used a Mevo camera, the Mevo camera that you see IRL streamers use, that's a wireless high definition camera. It's a high def camera that you can put on your shoulder, you put it on a helmet, you can put it on whatever, and it'll give you high def footage wirelessly. Yeah, that was his idea. He's the guy that founded Mevo. And then Logitech bought that technology, and Max Hout used that to start making rocket engines. No joke. And start investing in aerospace. It's super cool, actually. It's a really awesome story. That's the guy, dude. That's the guy that invented Mevo. Isn't that sick? I think that's so cool. Go check that video out, dudes. Trust me, it's a good one. Like, I don't shamelessly plug stuff like this, but that video was making me smile ear to ear. So in reality, you're just 1 or 2 steps away from inventing a rocket engine. I mean, it's very flattering putting it that way, but probably not. Yeah, we're trying to dude, and this is the kind of stuff that I'm trying to make a concerted push at. Like, if you're wondering why I've been like, oh, I'm working on NSF side projects. We're working on projects like this, dude. That's what we're doing. Working on cool stuff like this. Hey, Myth. 67 months. Thank you. I've seen it 3 times already. Learned something new every time. Dude, that video is packed full of goodies, man. Packed full of goodies. like duct taping DOS to the wall. That's personally my favorite part. Yeah, dude. Hour long of space flight goodness, dudes. It's good stuff. Anyway, I will post the link to that sucker in here for you guys. I'll post it again. I'll post it over on YouTube too. Check it out. It's good stuff. Anyway, all right, cool. So Vast is, like I said, they're gonna launch Haven 1, and dude, they're getting to a pretty high level of development with that thing, and it's almost gonna be used in the successful operation of No for Trunnions. Speaking of high levels of development, next bit of news here is coming from Tori Bruno, who you haven't seen, post anything on X in a little while, but it's a really, 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 really neat picture of 3 Centaur stages. Centaur 3, Centaur 5 big, and Centaur 5 little. Here's the target Whipple shield we tested, no big deal. Yeah, right, Kuju? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's Centaur 5. That's a Vulcan upper stage, that's a small Vulcan upper stage, and that's an Atlas 5 upper stage over there on the left. NSF Tour brought to you by Vast. You're listening to Radio Cosmos, and it's now 8:13 p.m. Time for the Vast segment of space. All right, anyway. Wait, there's a baby Centaur 5? Look at it. Would you just look at it? Oh, would you look at this? Would you look at, would you, yep. Would you just look at it? We should lobby Tori Bruno to use BE3s for Centaur in the future. I really don't think BE3s will jive well with balloon tanks, Hellfish, but that's just a personal theory of mine. Oh, would you look at that? Would you just look at it? Would you just look at it? I'm tired of people wanting to put Centaur on top of other rockets to replace SLS. Yeah, that was a Bush League idea, Yuri. It was a Bush League idea, yeah, and then it's a Bush League idea now. Does he sell propane and propane products? Nah, boy, you don't sell nothing. He sells upper stage and upper stage accessories, boy. No, that's really cool. Also, note the bunches of RL10s just sitting back there. Yeah, just in case, Key and I didn't notice that. It's just a bunch of RL10s over there. That's the motor for these things. It's just a bunch just sitting over there. Would you just look at it? The next ULA launch is Atlas 5 with Project Kuipers. That's right. It goes in the square hole. Yeah. More news here on the Nancy Roman Space Telescope. NASA engineers have completed environmental testing dress rehearsal to prepare for the thermal vacuum test for the Roman spacecraft's integrated payload assembly, or SCIPA. We know that they put the trash bags on it the other day, and now they're doing thermal tests on it as well. Once again, some good progress there. Good progress. If you want scale in this picture, and you're wondering, like, oh, how big is it? Look at the 2 dudes walking around in the room down there. Yeah. The Roman telescope's pretty big. It's pretty big. Upper stage and upper stage accessories, boy. That's right. The RL-10's beast mode, Yuri. It's one of the best rocket engines ever devised. More? We should send like 20 of them. Or have we already sent 19 of them and this is the 20th? Whoa. What's launching it? Falcon Heavy. We're not allowed to say getting an NRO territory. Hi, everyone. Ilonga. Falcon Heavy. No problem. Driving my Tessera. love you. Talking heavy because it's going to L2. Yeah, Lagrangian point. Cool, cool. Live streaming X. Nice. Wow. Wow. Guy makes me laugh every time. Love that guy. What I just walked back into. I love you. Nothing. Ben, you ever see that? You ever see that dude? That guy from China that's the Elon Musk lookalike? That guy makes me so happy, dude. It's so stupid. Oh, I see you met my cousin. Hi, everyone. Elon Musk. No problem. Driving my Tesla. I love you. Wow, wow. Guy's the freaking man, dude. Makes me so happy. Oh, shit. It's pretty good, man. Crazy idea. Just build a telescope inside of the bay of Starship, refuel it on orbit, and put it wherever you want in space. Just do the missions, then land Starship. If they can mitigate boil-off bandit, and you would need to do a trip to Mars, I'm in, dude. Absolutely. Let's go. We should put a telescope at every Lagrangian point and make them look at each other. I agree. Okay. An update from the gateway. Guys. Hey, fellas, okay. This is awesome that we're getting all these spaceflight updates. Okay? We're, like, you know, they're posting updates about Gateway. NASA's posting updates about SLS Block 1B. There's the payload attachment fitting for Block 1B, right? You know, Gateway's posting stuff. They're posting stuff like crazy about Roman, the Roman Space Telescope. Am I connecting dots that aren't there? Almost like there's a benefit to people knowing they work on it. Yeah. Am I connecting dots that aren't there? Meaning, like, why is every single NASA project like, look at what we're working on. This is what we're working on. This is awesome. Look at this. Like, out of the blue. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm really happy with the updates. These are great. But I can't help but think in the back of my mind, they want good press. With that being said, there's an update about Gateway. Clean room era unlocked. Gateway's habitation and logistic outpost wrapped up stress test and is now in the clean room at Thales Alenia Space for final installations before its next big move, transport to the United States. Ah, yes. Tubes. Yeah. Okay, Aqualex. All right, we're on the same page there. Okay. Yeah, no, it's fair. That you don't need to. You just say yes. Okay. Like, if you could just do this all the time, that maybe we like wouldn't be in this situation. I'm just putting it out there. Like, I really don't like it when I have to hear news about Gateway from the investigator or the inspector general and the Government Accountability Office. I really don't like that. I'd prefer you tell me what's going on, you know, like. Also, the PAF for Block 1B is pretty sweet. That's pretty cool. If you show too much, you can't hide your failure. All right. Okay, anyway, we got another article here from Space News. This is from Sandra Irwin. What's this about? K2 Space raises $110 million to scale up satellite production. K2 Space, a satellite manufacturing startup aiming to disrupt the industry with lower-cost, high-capacity spacecraft, has raised $110 million in Series B funding round co-led by Lightspeed Venture Partners and Altimeter Capital. The round, announced on February 13th, also saw participation from existing investors, including Alpine Space Ventures and First Round Capital, bringing the California-based company's total equity raise to $180 million since its founding in 2022. Fresh capital injection will help K2 accelerate production of its mega-class satellite buses that the company claims to be built for under $15 million per unit, with lead times of less than 3 months. That's a bold thing to claim. Okay. K2 Space and its investors are betting that as launch costs continue to decline, the industry will move towards larger satellites, countering the recent trend towards favoring small satellite constellations. Advanced space capabilities can't be built on small, low-powered problems, said Karen Conjure, CEO of K2 Space. But higher capability satellites have been far too expensive for most proliferated applications. Space Force is already showing interest. K2 Space is developing its first government mission, dubbed Gravitas, under a $60 million strategic funding increase agreement with the Space Force and venture investors, each contributing $30 million. The mission, scheduled to launch on SpaceX's Transporter 16 mission rideshare in 2026, will deploy multiple national security payloads in low Earth orbit before maneuvering into medium Earth orbit, a region requiring advanced radiation-hardened capabilities. MEO is in the Van Allen belts. Beyond funding, K2 Space is expanding its physical footprint. The company announced plans to open a 180,000 square foot factory in Torrance, California, a move aimed at scaling production, increasing in-house component manufacturing, and growing its workforce. Huh. That's fairly logical. The recent small sat popularity has been because of small sat launch availability, amongst other things. But those other things also benefit large sats. Maybe it could kind of go either way, because that's right. The trend has been towards small satellite constellations, guys. So like Starlink, Project Kuiper, OneWeb, stuff like that. Before all these things came along, it was big satellite buses that were the size of a truck, like a big semi-truck being launched into space, like maybe once every 5 to 10 years. The reason why they trended away from that is because that creates sinusoidal demand every 5 years for rocket launch vehicles. So you need, when all the satellites were launched all at once, you launch your constellation, and then you don't need anything from any launch providers for a little while, and then you launch them all again. The idea there is that it's not really a sustainable commercial market if you're in the launch industry. That's part of the reason why Falcon 9, SpaceX gave Falcon 9 Starlink to launch. They gave it something to do, because you're not going to make money off of launching every 2 days. What you are going to make money on is launching an internet satellite constellation that's valued at like $450 billion or something. It's not that. That's made up. I don't know what the numbers are. The point is that Starlink is what makes you money, not Falcon 9. That's the whole idea. That's why everybody's moving to small sats, because, quite frankly, because SpaceX did it. Sinusoidal demand sounds like a garage band name. Yeah. It's a good one. Short lead times on big satellite buses are, it's a play that could work. It's possible, but I don't really see I don't really see us shying away from proliferated proliferated low Earth orbit launch constellations anytime soon. Starlink is the new hotness, and it's going to stay that way for a long time. And these guys are trying to... They want a mega-class satellite bus for the company that claims to be built under $15 million per unit with lead times of less than 3 months. That's bold. I'm not sure how you're going to do that, but I wish them the best of luck. Why not both? Because the satellites that were out there were mostly they're mostly geostationary communication satellites, Snake. And I don't know if you've ever flown around on an airplane with Viasat providing internet. It's trash because the satellite is 23,000 miles that way, as opposed to Starlink, which is 270 miles that way. See what I mean? Yeah, that's kind of the reason. Did we watch this? I don't know. Huh. Interesting, Chuck. The Daily Mail is trying to get me to do something. It popped up and I couldn't read all the article. What is this? Anyway, I'm not sure if K2 is going to do that, but we'll see. What's my boy Matty up to? Matty.
For decades, rockets have been launching into space, taking payloads and satellites and humans. In fact, I came up to space on top of a rocket in the Dragon. It looks like this little model. But each of those times that has happened and we've gone to space, the rocket launches and it uses almost all of its fuel to get the payload into orbit. The rocket falls into the ocean, or now we have some new companies now that are making rockets that save a little bit of that fuel to come back and land on Earth and be reused again. But for the most part, rockets use all of their fuel. They go to space, and the only place that rocket could get fuel is on the Earth. Now, there are some small exceptions. The International Space Station, we have a Progress cargo vehicle that launches and docks with the space station and transfers some of its fuel to the space station so we can use it for maybe reboosting our orbit a small amount or maintaining our pitch attitude, yaw attitude, or roll attitude relative to Earth. And that's super important, but that's a very small amount of fuel that we get transferred up here. We're not doing big things. And by big things, I mean go to the moon and go to Mars. And so as part of the Artemis program, we have an architecture whereby a large starship is going to launch and go to space and meet another starship, and they're going to connect, and they're going to transfer fuel from one starship to the other. And then that one of those starships is going to disconnect, go back to Earth, and it's going to go back and forth each time up into space to refuel this mothership full of fuel. And once that mothership is full, it'll transfer its fuel to another starship, a special starship, and this starship goes to the moon. So it'll launch from Earth, it'll come up and suck all that fuel out of the mothership, and then it'll go off to the moon, be met by the Orion spacecraft, where then they can then take that starship down to the surface of the moon. And so before launch, I was thinking quite a bit about this, and I thought I would bring up some demos and some experiments that I could use to explain some of the difficulties there are in transferring a fluid from one place to another. And so hopefully, as you see me go through these experiments, with the help of Dawn, you'll see some of our struggles making these happen, and imagine how you would do this on the scale to go to both the moon.
Oh, this is killer, dude.
Mars. All right, today we're going to simulate our rocket ship with this bottle of water. And the water in there is going to simulate our rocket fluid, and you can see the gas bubbles in there. And so if you had a rocket engine and you're fueling it with rocket fuel, you don't want a gas bubble to go in to your rocket engine. So to prevent that in space, as you can see that floating around, different spaceships handle that in different ways, but it's pretty common for spaceships to do something called a settling burn. And they take this little bit of fuel that's right here near where let's say the fuel is going to go into the rocket engine right here. And they do a little burn, poof, they push it a little bit. And when they do that little push, it pushes the rocket fuel back towards the nozzle.
Yep.
And so we're going to simulate that today with water as our rocket fuel and our gas bubble in here, letting this pressurize. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to let it shoot a little bit. And you'll see a little bit of gas comes out and it won't really accelerate a whole lot. And then maybe we'll do a settling burn, simulate a settling burn by pushing a little bit, get all the water this side, and watch our rocket take off. Don, I'm glad you're here to help contain my mess.
I'm running the towel.
You got that one?
I got
We got it.
shove them.
Ready, go. Okay,
Okay, and
let's clean off the outside.
yeah.
We're gonna let the pressure build up with the lid off.
Is that
Oh,
Alka-Seltzer?
yeah.
And then,
Whoops.
we got good audio. So, all right, we're gonna try this again. Don's got a new shirt. We want to demonstrate why you do a settling burn. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have it shoot just gas. Just gas. Ready? Go. Okay.
Seltzer.
Okay. So we don't have any fluid anywhere near the nozzle, and the Alka-Seltzer is just shooting gas, and you can hear it. You can hear it just puttering along. Okay. Now we're gonna give it a settling burn to get some of that fluid there. Don's gonna protect himself. There we go. Yeah, that's a good one. One more here. Coming back in. Get the fluid at one end.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. Yes. Awesome.
All right. Top gas.
That is good.
So I was at SpaceX in training, and I saw these water bottles, and these water bottles come up in the Dragon. It's what we use to drink. That's what we get our water to drink from on the Dragon. We're coming up to the space station and going back down to Earth. And I was looking at them, and I was looking at a picture of Starship, which is, we're going to launch as part of the Artemis program.
I blocked the money shot. Show it again. Oh yeah. I guess I did. Here, I'll go over here. Watch it again.
The fluid at one end. Yeah. All right. Top gas.
That is good.
So I was at SpaceX in training, and I saw these water bottles, and these water bottles come up in the Dragon. It's what we use to drink. That's what we get our water to drink from on the Dragon. We're coming up to the space station and going back down to Earth. And I was looking at them, and I was looking at a picture of Starship, which is, we're going to launch as part of the Artemis program, and that's going to go up into orbit. And the Starship's going to go up into orbit, and we're going to send up a mothership for fuel, and then other Starships are going to go up and
says
give it
tests
fuel,
behind me.
give it fuel. And then finally the lander is going to launch from Earth, dock to the mothership, take a whole bunch of fuel, and then go off to the moon, and then dock with Orion and go land on the moon. But I was thinking, well, how are we going to transfer fuel from one spaceship to another when the fluid, the rocket fuel, is inside bouncing around? You kind of want to get it all to one end so your pipes can suck up that rocket fuel and transfer it someplace else. And so I was thinking, well, if you have, let's say this one just launched and it's full of fuel and it wants to give fuel to the empty rocket ship, you got all these bubbles in here. Wouldn't it be cool if they docked like this, and then they could rotate about each other, and the rotation here puts all this fluid, all the rocket fuel, to one end, like this, so your pipe, if you're picking up the fuel, can pick it up. So what we've got is, let's pretend this is one spaceship and this is another, and we're going to transfer fuel from this one to the other one. We have a little pipe on the inside, and then we need to pressurize this side. So rockets move fuel or pressurize their fuel to get it to the rocket engine by pressurizing with gas, typically helium. And so we're going to use Alka-Seltzer in the water to pressurize this tank, push the fluid through the pipe, through this adapter that we 3D printed, into this side. And the extra gas in this side is going to come out a tiny little hole we have right here. Hopefully it doesn't shoot rocket fuel at this. Hopefully not at Don, hopefully not at me. But the idea is to spin this and have it transfer one while we have this one pressurized. And what'll be interesting is, if we don't do that spin maneuver, we should just be pushing Alka-Seltzer gas through here. And if we do the spin maneuver, like this, we should be able to get rocket fuel transferring.
And we've never done this
We've
before.
never done this in orbit before. I did, full disclosure, I tried this on the ground, not spinning and not in 0G. So you might have a bit of a disaster here and watch Don and I make a mess of ourselves, but I think that's part of the fun.
Oh, I'm taking my glasses.
Taking the glasses off. Ready? Get in there. Go. I got the towel.
Okay.
Go spin, tighten it down. We're good. Okay. What could possibly go wrong? All right, we're already transferred fuel. I can see it. But what's interesting to me is the center of gravity might change as we transfer fuel from one to the other.
Yep.
I think it's working. Oh. It's tough to kind of find which part to hit because you can't hit the center of mass. Oh, towel. We're losing it out of the gas port. Hold on.
That's why on-orbit refueling is very difficult. They actually demonstrated why it's not something, oh, why can't you just do this? Well, yeah, that's a really, really good example of why that's difficult. Yeah, that actually is a pretty good example. You don't want to just shoot your fuel out the side.
Let's see here. All right, I'm going to spin it really fast and cheat a little bit so we can get the fluid away from the gas port.
Discovery, go and throttle.
And now we're kind of equaling the center of mass, and we're pumping fluid.
Oh, that's sick.
Well, and you see the center of mass changing as it pumps fluid from one side to the other.
Oh, that's cool.
We want to spin it fast like this to get the gas away from the port. We should have made one of these visually significant.
Well, you got water in it.
So the one with more water now, I think, is the tank.
Yep.
All right, we're leaking from the gas ports.
Here, let me link you guys up. That's super cool, man. Curious, how does Progress refuel the station? Well, Progress uses hypergalls, and the hypergalls are inherently pressure-fed. They're back-pressurized with helium through a bladder tank, which is not something a fully cryogenic starship would have. The bladder tank makes it really easy to move fuel, like real easy. Here, I'll post it over in the YouTubes too.
Fun.
I'm hoping our first starship propellant transfer is a little bit more controlled than that.
That's cool. That's awesome. Should keep this video in your pocket when they start trying fuel transfers to explain it. I agree. Or just get our own Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer! How do I think SpaceX will do it? That's a good question. So, okay, if it's me, all right, like the way I'm thinking about this is, they had their gas vent in this design. Their gas vent was in dead center, right? If your gas vent in this design is at one end or the other, right? The process of fuel transfer and an open vent line on the end of one starship will actually create your spinning motion. So you start venting one side, or you start the process, right, by accelerating the tank, right? You use the RCS, which we know Starship has backwards facing RCS. Use that to accelerate it, settle your propellants, right? And then use whatever ullage, they're using ullage gases. So you'd have to have some kind of heat exchanger in this design, like, oh, I don't know, a Raptor engine with autogenous pressurization, maybe? Just saying. Just saying, it's just an example. Could use RCS. And then as that process starts to go, the gas vent on the other side spins the thing. That's your method of pitch control. So as you transfer more fuel, you spin, right? And then when most of your fuel is transferred and gas is vented out, right? That jet will get lower and lower and lower, and you could just use the jet on the other starship facing in another direction, right? To stop it. Does that make sense? First Starship flight started to do that maneuver a little bit. SpaceX has already demonstrated that they can move propellant between the main and header tanks on Starship, guys. Whatever avenue that they're using to do that is how they're going to transfer fuel. I'm like 90% sure. That sounds so incredibly sketchy. It's using physics to your advantage, Pop. What do you mean? I mean, dude, any one of these methods is sketchy. You could have it closed loop if you want. I mean, but you got to remember Starship uses tank ullage pressure for its RCS. At least Super Heavy does. But will gravity cause your experiment to be different than theirs? I mean, yeah, a little bit. Current plan is to dock 4 catch arms. What? What is this? But aren't they docking belly to belly? Still work? Plan is to dock 4 catch arms and dual raceways will make it easier. Yeah, they're docking quick disconnect to quick disconnect. Exactly. Yeah, that's... See? You could still do this. Is there not vents up at the top for the header tanks? Right? Look, man, if one starship can move fuel from the front to the back, which we saw on Flight 4, they absolutely did a fuel transfer, right? They can absolutely do it with that quick disconnect. Like I said, actually, I used to say this a lot. I haven't said it in a little while. If you look at Starship's quick disconnect port on the pad, we're talking down on on Mechazilla, the ship quick disconnect. If you look at how that umbilical attaches, it looks a lot like a docking port. It has like a probe and drogue. Well, 4 probe and drogues on it to get it to align. It looks like a docking port. This problem goes away if you have boil-off mitigation. Shut the mitigation off on the unloading craft. Leave it on the loading side. Doesn't matter if it's liquid. Yeah, I mean, that was just a way that I would think. But yeah, if you want to do it this way, that's all fine and dandy. That'll work. They're clearly gonna do something, Aqualex, because like I said, they were somehow able to move fuel between the main tanks and the header tanks on Flight 4, or was it Flight 3? I forget. Either way, if you can move fuel between the header tanks and the main tanks just on a starship by itself flying around, you can absolutely do it through an umbilical. That's doable. It was Flight 3. There you go. For the meantime, they can't do this till Raptor 3 is a thing. On both Raptor and Sea Level, main tanks are pretty unusable after main engine cutoff for Raptor 2 since it doesn't have a heat exchanger, so it's dumping water in the main tanks. Yeah, that's what I mean. You're gonna need a heat exchanger in the loop, but there's clearly a way that they can do it without it, Baron. So I'm not so inclined to believe that, my friend. Yeah, that was the one with the door as well. But anyway, that was a super cool video. That was awesome. Good stuff. So, a little bit of an update from one of the commercial astronauts on the From 2 mission. With our launch getting closer, we have finished our longest training session, a 28-hour full duration Dragon mission in the training vehicle. From 2 is a commercial mission that's going to launch for commercial astronauts into a polar orbit. The first commercial astronauts to ever do it. Or the first astronauts. No one has ever seen Earth from looking down on the North Pole. No one's ever seen that. That we know of. The old plan was weird. Yeah, I remember that. Like you said, they'll need boil-off mitigation sooner rather than later. I still find it amazing to look into ITS schematics. Hey. Pretty cool. So From 2, once again, looking to launch a little bit later in the year. Commercial polar orbit mission. That's the crew right there. Pretty good stuff. Last bit of space news here is coming from Eddie Trevino Jr. He's a judge. He's the judge for Cameron County. Starbase is looking to incorporate here. Yeah, they're looking to incorporate Starbase and actually put it on the map. This right here is an incorporation petition for Starbase from the judge. The election is set to occur during the general election on Saturday, May 3rd, 2025 from 7 to 7 at the hub located at LBJ Boulevard in Brownsville, Texas. Early voting will occur in the same location April 22nd through Friday, April 25th. Hey, the Disneyland model. Pretty cool. I should run for mayor of Starbase. What? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Kathy Leaders will be mayor. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Kathy would be way better at it than me. Speaking of her, Kathy, with what she's up to, thank you for the great partnership with Cameron County on the Andy Bowie Park improvements. This will keep us all enjoying the South Padre Island jewel for many years. SpaceX spending money on upgrading infrastructure around. So right there in the center, that's Kathy Leaders. Kathy Leaders is the general manager of Starbase. Like she just manages the entire Starbase operation. If you're wondering how qualified she is to do that, she ran NASA's Human Exploration Operations Mission Directorate for a good amount of time. And before that, ran NASA's Commercial Crew Program. Yeah. And then before that was a flight controller during the shuttle program. Yeah, no, she's good. She's wicked smart. Yeah. Well, I made tacos today, so there. She is and was excellent at her job. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I would say that's very fair. It's a very fair thing to say, David. Yeah, Kathy's pretty awesome. She's pretty cool. All right. Anyway, flight number 26. What is this? Oh, is this... Oh, we got info on Starlink 12.8. That's at 1:14. Can you meet me at Twin Pines Mall at 1:14 a.m.? This is the Starlink mission that's early Saturday morning, Friday night for the gamers. Starlink Group 12.8 is using 1067 on its 26th flight, baby. That's awesome. Yeah, and she used to as well. Don't you mean Lone Pines Mall? No. Yeah. Yeah. Heck, no way I'm going to be up at 8 a.m. 35-day launch turnaround, 1067, 26th flight. How long until we get one up to 30 flights? A month? Maybe 2? That would make it the flight leader. Yep. That flight is happening, once again, Friday night for the gamers, Saturday morning technically. And then, yeah, there's a little bit of a dry spell throughout the weekend there. We're in a little bit of a dry spell right now. And then Monday at 8, the L57 mission. I'll be here for that. And then on Tuesday during Space News, Starlink 1012, right at the start of Space News. So there you go, dudes. There you go. All right. That's going to do it for Space News for the day. I have a meeting that I have to go to, and Brimo wants to watch Severance, which debuts in like 10 minutes. And then I have a meeting like right after that. So I got to get going. I have business to attend to. So that's going to do it for Space News. That's going to do it for the stream for the night. How many flights did the SDS orbiter fleet max at? Discovery holds the record with 39 flights. Atlantis is behind it with 33. Nice, Baron. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. I will see you guys tomorrow. We are playing... I wanted to play more Workers tonight, but we had, we had to talk about Blue. I had to kind of process my thoughts with Blue here. Business maximalization. Yeah, something like that. I am work maxing in 2025. I am work maxing. Any rateables online. Etel is actually... out of commish right now, weather guy. His dog Midas passed away, so that's why we haven't seen him around, just in case anybody was wondering, which really sucks. That's not cool. Yeah, the pickings are kind of dry tonight, so we'll just pop off. Yep. SLS is already in the scope of Doge. Brace yourself for some info later before the weekend. We'll see. We'll see. Booster catches tomorrow, right? Yeah, tomorrow at noontime, we got KSP. We're going to jump back into trying to do the booster catch and trying to get that thing to work. Dino, don't take this at face value. I think I am ready to commit to playing Kerbal at least once a week. I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready. So I would say Fridays before the Flame Trench would probably be the best time. So I think I'm ready to at least do some fun stuff in Kerbal on Fridays, and then Flame Trench, and then racing. I think. No guarantees, but I think I'm ready. I needed time. I needed time, dude. So, yeah, Wings Fridays, I don't know. Maybe we make planes one day. Maybe we make the XB1 or something. But there's booster catches. Maybe we work on super heavy launch vehicles. Maybe we do a mission to the moon. I don't know. I think I'm ready. I think I'm good. I hope I'm not wrong. It's been a struggle, dude. It's been a struggle. But yeah, we'll try doing it. We'll try playing Kerbal every Friday, and we'll see where that goes. Okay. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll work on booster catches, and yeah, have a good night. I gotta go. I'll see you in the morning. Good night, and thank you.